Mention the polling stations.
But it's not in the report, it's your calculation.
My calculation, yes, it's my calculation. It's my calculation based on what the registrars found. Like if you find, for example, Kakamega High School, there was no form provided. For Book 2 was never provided. Bomet County, Gorgor School, polling station 2, not provided. Kasagik Primary School, polling station 1 forms not provided. St. Joseph Kapkerich Primary School, the form was used. Chesentum Primary School, form was used. Kamwai Primary School, form was used. So if you add up from the registrar's report, they come to 50% of those forms that went out. Now, to explain it in a layman's language, because this is very important that we understand, it's like saying, I have printed for every polling station 700 ballot papers. But let me print an additional 700. Then you send all of them to the polling stations. And you issue a gazette notice telling polling stations, when you receive the ballot papers, please return to me 700 untouched. Only use 700. What do the polling presiding officers do when they receive these ballot papers? They decide to liberally use them. So that when you go out to find out where the mischief is, the system is muddled. He has thrown at you so many ballot papers, you cannot know the genuine and the fake. Mr. Chebukati single-handedly directed for book 34 of 2 to be printed. And book 2 of 2 having been printed, it went out to the stations. The gazette notice required it not to be used. It was used, and the registrar's reform has confirmed. How does it work? Let me use a real-life experience of a movie that I watched, because I have time. It's called The Italian Job. Once they conclude, when this gentleman steals, and he comes with many lorries, and you can't tell which lorry has the actual cash, similar number plates, similar design, similar make. So it's meant to confuse you, don't know which is the actual truck that has the money. In simple terms, if I steal money on this table, I steal 1 million, I throw 200,000, all of you scramble for it, and I walk out with 800,000, leaving all of you scrambling for the 200,000. You'll never know the magnitude of what I have done. That is the magnitude of book 2 of 2 in our elections. The best example before I cede my time to the court, if you've watched The Wolf, it's called The Wolf of Wall Street. When the star player, at the point of blowing it all up, throws money at everybody because he has now made his ultimate loot. He throws money at everybody, and no one can tell what actually transpired. That is what happened with book 2 of 2 in our elections. That when you start questioning, when you start tracing, you will only be meeting genuine forms. In 2017, when we were questioning, we were meeting fake forms. He threw an extra 46,000 genuine forms into our elections in the hands of people who could not account for them. When we went to look, we were able to demonstrate that 50% of those forms have been used from a sample. From a sample, not denied, either not used or not accounted for, not returned. Are we going to give regime legitimacy after this indicting audit report? I asked this question in the morning. Part of the Supreme Court's function, you give what we call regime legitimacy. The Kenyan people moving in one accord. And nobody has spoke in this court about the margin of victory that is declared. Less than 200,000. After all these muddled figures, after all these illegalities, are we going to say that let us ignore them and give a regime legitimacy to one of the players? I urge you not to ignore your registrar's report. This is too damning. This has confirmed to you that at the end of this process, the only person who could answer the question where the punk was going to land was Wafula Chebukati himself. It was not the instruments that were deployed for the conduct of the elections. I thank you very much for the opportunity to appear before you. Thank you for listening to me. And I thank Justice Swanjala today. He didn't respond when I did my monk. And I donate my time back to the courts. Thank you.
You also did not sweat, so we are okay.
IBC.
My ladies, my lords, Mr. Dennis Nkarisha will make the presentation for us.
Thank you, Senior.
Repeat your name for us.
Dennis Nkarichia,
Okay.
Nkarichia. If I may proceed, my lady.
Yes, please.
I would like to refer the court only to 2 documents generated by the registrar. There is a list of annexures that has R1 and runs for 42 pages, and there's a big report of page 1 to 178 that covers the entire report. My lady, I'll take you to page 15 of the registrar's report, which provides a table to determine whether the IEBC complied with the scrutiny orders. On the issue of ICT, my ladies, I'll do order 1, 2, 3, and 4. My lord and senior Mr. Wetangula will deal with the rest of the orders. My lady, for order 1, we fully complied, save for providing the owners of system administration password. The order issued by the court had a security exception, but if it was determined it was too risky to provide something, we were to object and provide an explanation. My ladies, my lords, we objected because those persons once identified, their personal security could not be guaranteed in any way. And that explanation was accepted by everybody. The rest of the documentation that Senior Counsel Mugo said were not provided, my lady, that report says they were provided. The password policy is number 1, the password matrix is number 2, the system users and level access is number 4. Those documents, my lady, were provided, and the registrar noted the same. On the second order, my lady, the one about the server, my lady, I'll come back to it, but there's only one server. Senior Learned Counsel, Mr. Mugo, was economical with the truth, and I will develop it in the responses and queries raised by his agent, Mr. George, who is identified in the annex that the registrars provided. Mr. George is in R2, and he appears as George Joroge, the 13th person in that list. George Joroge, he assigned, he was his agent. So, my lady, access was provided to the server.